Now, earlier today, it was confirmed that a police officer who was attached to the office of the deputy president, or at least was manning the precinct when the meeting between the former sports cabinet secretary Chesa and some of his accomplices and other dealers in this particular military tender scam had met on Thursday. This policeman was there and he was found dead in his residence in Imara Daima. This was earlier today. And these are pictures from earlier, just next to his residence. And you could tell us, Vincent Achuka, what you've established, and I believe this is one of the leading stories for tomorrow on this.
Yeah, actually it's our headline tomorrow.
Yes.
But this is what happened so far. What we know is that Sergeant, is called John Kipyegon Kenei, was on duty on Thursday last week at the DP's office. I think he was one of the guards. Then yesterday, seven of the security officers who were present were supposed to record statements at the DCI. 2 did not turn up. Sergeant Kenei is one of them. He gave an excuse that he was not feeling well. Then the other...
He gave an excuse when?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah, that he was not feeling well.
That's at least what you've been told by the sources.
Yeah. And the other officer said that he was supposed to take his kids to school, so they didn't turn up. So we had 5 officers being grilled and 1 secretary. So what happened is after that, I think his friends have been unable to reach him on his mobile phone up to today evening. Then they decided to go to his house to check out. The house is on Trigger Court, in Maradaima Estate. The door was open. Then Sergeant Kenei, I think, had 1 gunshot wound from below his chin. The bullet went through his head. So far, we are told there is a bullet hole on the ceiling board. But neighbors say they did not hear a gunshot.
Yes.
Either today or yesterday.
Yes.
So it's still an active investigation. The county commander for Nairobi earlier on said they're treating it as a suicide, but it's still under investigation, and homicide detectives from the DCI have taken over the scene. I think even Mr. Kinuti was there.
Yes, he was. That's actually him in this particular picture. Yeah.
Yeah, at some point. So we don't know who shot him and why. It could be anyone.
Yes, and of course there's some accounts here going with what the Star has reported, George Oiti, that his body was found in a state of decomposure, was decomposing, which goes to tell perhaps it didn't just happen just a few hours ago, but that's still being investigated, and he's said to have been living in a servant's quarter of a main house within Trigger Court.
That's true.
And if you then say that, according to your sources, that he had said yesterday that he would not be able to go because he's unwell, so that means it could have happened over the last few hours, not too long ago. We don't know. Yes.
These things, you cannot say it happened either this time or not. There has to be a post-mortem.
Yes, yes.
And all these things to establish the cause of death and the time it might have taken place.
Do we know of the other person who was meant to appear before the DCI to record a statement, and what he was appearing in what capacity?
Also a security guard.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't gotten the name yet.
Yes.
Actually, Sergeant Kenei's name came because he has died. You know, when investigations take place, it's very difficult to know exactly this person and this person and this person and this person. They have been questioned. Or for obvious reasons, because it's an investigation, and you see the nature of this case.
Yes.
It's good that the identity of these people is not known for now.
For now,
yeah.
Okay. Alphonse, from where you sit, what are the leads that you think we should pursue in at least bringing out some clarity from now the developments?
So this particular death of a police officer is one of those that we found somewhat unsettling, because we saw a picture of a body that was going round and it was going viral on social media. And the claim was that the DCI officer in charge of the investigation had been killed. And there were made up quotes citing the Kabete OCPD
Yes.
and other senior officials. And so when we started digging, we found out that it's an old picture that was taken in Zimbabwe in 2018. And somebody has just picked it from the internet and souped it up to tell a story around this narrative. So when this happened, we were very careful to try and verify first that is this person dead. Now, the thing with social media and around such stories, these are very sensitive stories. This is someone's father, someone's son, and you have to be very careful not to comment about the cause of death, because they are asking questions right now. They are asking questions: what could have happened? How could he have died?
Yes.
Is there a link between what the investigation right now and whatnot? So I would like to take a pass on that until the investigators do their job.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Kiama, what is
Yeah,
comes
so
to mind in this particular
the thing with death is that it's so final. So we know that this police officer was on duty at the time when the office was allegedly accessed, and now he's dead. So we can never know, we will never know whether he was authorized or whether he did it himself, allowing the former minister to access that office. So that's the sad thing, is that that's done. The other sad thing is that in Kenya we just let, for example, we just let things go. Last week we witnessed a whole week of mourning of a Kenyan who died after 95 years. This guy most probably will not be mourned apart from by his family, which is a sad thing about Kenya. And the fact that he would have answered so many things already starts to make this whole saga go away.
Yes.
I mean, we can start imagining that nothing will be done, will not get to the bottom of this. Propagandists will play around with it from whichever side. And I think for the media, what I would say is that the media needs to continue doing what it's doing,
and to follow
which
through
is
on this.
asking questions.
Yes.
We have so many issues around the DP. The DP has declared he wants to be president in 2022. So we actually need more scrutiny, not less scrutiny, as some people are saying.
Yes. But in and of itself, it's not.
I mean,
a
there are
crime
many
to
stories,
declare
from
interest
the raid that is home in Sugoi to all these things that keep, you say, well, they smoke, there's fire. Why do these stories keep coming up about him? And why are they not being interrogated to the point where we can actually dismiss them and say, no, the DP is clean, all these things is...
where there's smoke, there's fire. There's
There's the
probably
issue of, for
someone
example,
who
the
started
land.
the fire somewhere.
Yeah, the
with
land.
an interest as well to counter his interest.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Muteshi's land,
Yes.
was it returned? Has the media told us about that? I'm not saying we know what the court ruled. What is the story since then? Has there been that follow-up? Can the media please follow up on that and tell us what happened? that raid in Sugoi home. What about the net worth? There's a question he's been asked. I think you've asked him severally. What is his net worth? He's never answered that question.
Okay.
It's been asked on BBC. So if that's it's the media's role to ask these questions and to try and find these answers from him.
All right.
So as for the young man, I'd like to just pass my condolences to the family.
To the family.
And hope that, unlike Msando, we'll get to the bottom.
Chumba, you say you know the late Kenei.
I think to pick it from where Mutemi is picking it, I think there are things that we must recognize what the media has done. On the Muteshi land, I think if you just do a fast check or a fact check on Google, the thing has been, it's dry now, it has been overdone. The media did after whatever the land was given back and all that. So I think on that one, you cannot begrudge the media. Two, as to whether the issue, there has always been the issue of the worth of our politicians. I know it is a question, it is nearly as contentious as the question of who wins elections in this country. The two are in the same sentence. But Mutemi, that question should be subjected to all politicians. Show me one interview where anybody has asked Musalia Mudavadi's worth. Isn't it unsettling that it was always directed, I think, to two presidential candidates,
I think
Raila
was
Odinga and William Ruto? Why not the rest? Nobody has ever asked Abdul Badida how much he's worth.
I can respond to that. Just let me just respond to that, because the way you've asked it, is that on these shows, the particular shows where that question comes up, it's actually the DP who organizes, tells us to watch. So you should be ready to, even when you went to his home, you should be ready to respond to those questions. Musalia Mudavadi has never invited us to watch him.
But we've had interviews with him, and actually that issue has been brought up in interviews with him. Yes. But besides that, it's probably not as interesting to people as that Musalia's versus Ruto's.
Yeah,
let's stick to this particular story.
Yes. It is now for Vincent Achuka and other people to bring it out now. It might be not interesting to them, but it is interesting to us as consumers of
So you want us to go and ask people what property?
No.
Let's go back. Let's bring it back to Echesa and to this particular story and the latest development of the dying of. Yes,
it is unfortunate and unsettling. I think from where I sit, it's add more puzzles to what the puzzle fear we already have now. I know. And it is unfortunate that this thing will be run by propagandists with hashtags, but somebody has lost their father, a lady has been widowed, a child has been left without a father. That is the bitter part. And just like all the other stories, just like Msando, just like all the people we do not know how they disappeared. And I hope there will come a time where closure will be in this country, where somebody dies in a publicized manner, the whole thing is sensationalized, and it just dies off. Who knows to date where the Msando inquest has reached? The media has not come back to tell us where the Msando inquest has reached. You told us on the beginning, but to where we are, the media rarely reports about inquest. Very few. And you can check with your media houses. They rarely even attend those inquest proceedings in court to know what really happened. And I think it is a place now, Vincent and your people, you can venture into. It is a good place. But to this, it is unfortunate. And
I think he wants to respond to something. He's taking a note down on that point you raised.
So there's something we usually hear, that the media never does this, never does that, never does this. There are court reporters who are always in court following these things from A to Z, from the moment they begin to the time they end. I'm not here to defend the media or the journalists, but if you're going to make such an assertion, just say we have not seen it on this and this and this. What I'm what I'm trying to do right now is somebody like Mark here, who has access to the internet, can quickly Google and tell you that this inquest has been covered every day. It's just not front page news, but it's always somewhere in the newspaper. Now, the challenge, and that is what Mutemi was saying, is unfortunately, the people who read newspapers are very few. Most read the headlines, and they walk around as if they know what the story is. The gaps are filled by WhatsApp, they are filled by Facebook, and they are filled by Twitter. And when they walk around, they say, oh, the media did not cover this story. We've seen it when the issue about the road in, is it Mwiki? The Kasarani. One where, Kasarani, where it was being, Kasarani Mwiki Road, where it was being said that the media has not covered, has ignored those people. And the stories were written from day one when there was a problem on that road. It's just that they were not prominent. And when action was not being taken, when there was a groundswell and perspective was being put into that story, it managed to get itself into the prominence of news. So that's the kind of thinking. Journalists in this country work very hard to get good stories to the public. The challenge is not all those stories are read. Not very many people read, and it's a challenge. You ask yourself, 75% of the country is under 35.
Yes.
Now, when you're looking at such numbers, how do you communicate to that demographic? How do you communicate to the Instagram generation? How do you make them care that's the kind of conversations that are going on internally within the media circle.
Okay.
Sometimes, just to conclude, sometimes propaganda, false information is sweeter, and it's sweeter than anything else. So it's the laziest thing, and most of
To just push forward as received.
Yes, forward as received. And most of the politicians have people who build narratives around events, and they know that people will read just an image.
Yes.
So they do an image, put a caption quickly, and spread it on WhatsApp, and it goes like.
And on that note,
yes.
Achuk, and I don't know if you guys have been following any leads on this particular development, there were pictures and a story of supposed aide from DP's office who was involved in a very fatal car crash and died, passed on. It was very ugly. And now someone is actually asking me, could there be a linkage on this particular? I don't know if it's something that you have followed and pursued, perhaps just to clear the air on if it's anything to do with this, because it will come in.
No, there is no link at all. And
yes.
That guy is not even an aide of the DP.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a confusion about the identity of the guy who died on a car crash.
Yes, Langata Road.
Yeah, I've forgotten his name. But
Rono.
No, it's not Rono. We got his name on Monday or on Tuesday.
Okay.
Right.
The name that was being pushed out was a DP staff member, a particular Rono. And of course, as people would go with this, now a security officer has passed on, it can be passed on as, now there's a case being built, people are dying who are attached to the DP's office. But at least you've confirmed this was not in any way
No,
related.
not in any way. I think the biggest problem is, like, media houses are competing with bloggers, they're competing with everybody else who thinks they have followers and they have information, and they can put that out.
And actually everybody is competing to break the story.
Yeah,
That is where the danger is.
Yeah, everybody wants to be famous.
Okay.
And that's an indictment on the media, as Shun was just said. The fact that the bread and butter stories, the ones that concern Kenyans, are in the back pages. The political sensationalist stories.
He's
are in the front
misquoting me.
pages.
He's re-quoting you to fit his...
I'm contextualizing this, that since Kiama beat a dog does not sell. No, if a dog bites me, it cannot be a headline. But if I bite that dog, it becomes a headline. That's a media mantra. So just contextualizing what he's saying. If these stories have been written about Mweki, for example, I didn't know they had been written. I know that's something that has been happening for about 3 years. But I didn't know that there are journalists who have been following
That was to
it
answer
up.
the question that perhaps the criticism, you don't report on this until it's a big story, but you've actually been reporting on it consistently until it becomes something that is.
And
in
we look at the
forefront in
Daily
public
Nation
discourse.
headlines last 3 weeks, and the Standard last 3 weeks, and the Star last 3 weeks. It will be either Ruto, Raila, or Uhuru.
There was more as well. But
Okay.
anyway,
Mark,
yes.
So the rest
Just-
of Kenya,
just another
40,
rejoinder.
47 million of us are in those 1-inch columns that nobody reads.
Okay, that's
I
it.
think also, to be fair to even leaders and politicians, just for the Mwiki Kasarani one, I think the media did a great job. But there is the other point now. If the road was developed or something was done, it is also on the media to report so that people can know that picketing and demonstrating has positive
But it was,
results.
because it will actually reflect
That
well on
I
us.
think
It does.
is a good thing
And it was done.
going
And it was
forward,
done.
so that people can
But-
know that protecting their rights by just picketing or demonstrating.
We're getting off course
there's
now to the
results.
Mwiki Kasarani story, because that it actually reflects well to us if we report on it having improved after consistent reportage, because it shows impact journalism. So that has been done.